I'm at the Amerton Railway in Staffordshire. I'm going to reacquaint myself with a locomotive that I haven't seen for 51 years. On August 28, 1972, I and a group of friends were on a two-day train spotting trip to the Crewe area. We stopped at Stafford to look at the two diesel shunters. Outside the station was an industrial steam locomotive on a plinth. Little did I realise that after all this time I'd be seeing her here at Amerton in steam. And to find out how she came from the plinth at Stafford to be restored, to be cared for, brought back to steam. I was born in October 1955, and at 18 months old, my mother wrote "Trains, trains, trains" in a baby book, and they've stuck with me on a daily basis ever since. My father worked for Hanley Page on the Halifax 4-engine bomber during the war, and he passed his love of engineering to me at a very early age, teaching me how to drill and tap Whitworth threads and to silver solder. Around the age of 5, I was given the Wonder Book of Engineering Wonders, and it remains my favourite book to this day. It would be my choice on a desert island. On leaving school at 18, my only career choice was to work for British Rail, and I joined the Civil Engineers Department. I had the happiest and most exciting years of my career with British Rail, the highlight being resident engineer Newcastle on the East Coast mainline electrification. In this episode, I'm going to go behind the scenes at Amerton Railway to find out a little more about what some of the younger volunteers do here. I'm interested to know how what they do not only helps with the long-term future of this wonderful railway, but also how it helps them as individuals develop and grow. I will also meet with Operations Director Pete Gully to find out more about the running of trains here and how the wonderful signal box works. I'm talking to Cameron Whitaker, who tells me he's 17 years of age and one of the young volunteers at Amerton. Now, I've been very impressed in my discussions here with the involvement of young people. So, Cameron, can you tell me how you got involved here and what you actually do?
I got involved here just over 4 years ago now. I've been train spotting for a while and always had an interest in railways. So one day that my dad just said, "Why don't you volunteer somewhere?" Which I'm sure is a lot of people's thoughts of when starting to volunteer. And living in Stafford, it was the closest local railway to me. So I thought one day, pop down and have a chat. And I'm here 4 years later now, so.
Well, this is William Smith, one of the younger volunteers at the Amerton Railway, and William works for JCB through the week, but on a weekend you come here. So tell us about your job.
I've been on multiple roles today already, but for this split of the day I'm monitoring the crossing, which has tied-in use to the home signal up there. So I'm controlling the signal as well as anybody crossing, as well as when we swap locos from freight, it's all done up here as well.
I'm talking to Tom Ivers. It's probably the first pirate I've ever come across on a heritage railway.
I'd like to hope so.
Probably the only pirate on a heritage railway. So Tom, what brought you to Amerton?
Well, I've volunteered for railways in the past. Started off at Foxfield and came from there to here. Went through a good time of being in a band and touring, as you do. I've always had a passion for steam and steam railways in general. I've got my own garden railway for starters, you know, run steam locos on that on a regular basis. And I wanted to get back into it after a good while out of it. You know, get back on the footplate, get firing again. I enjoy. It's an addiction, I think, in a weird way.
I understand that.
It's a bit of an addiction. So 2019, I think I started this, particularly here. Got here, then COVID happened, of course, but steam's my area, big time. Love it,
yeah.
Love it. It's where it's where my passion is, where my drive is.
So the home signal, which is our main signal up there, is interlocked to the signal box. So I can only turn it on if they're happy for me to have it on. but it's also when they're happy, it's still my control. So if something goes wrong, or I've got a car stuck or anything like that, it's all done from here. So nicely labelled. But yeah, basically I get a light here saying signal box is happy, and then once I'm happy the crossing's clear, my point is not pointed over, so the train does go the right way. All I do is press the button and hopefully, hopefully it works.
A very responsible job then, isn't it? I'm with Pete Gully in Amerton Signal Box, and I understand, Pete, that you're a bit of an ops man. You can tell us about the operational aspects of the railway. I know very little, so over to you.
Yeah. So I'm the operations director here and look after how we operate the railway and try to do it safely. We are a loop, so we're a continuous railway, but we split that loop into two separate sections of railway, and we call them a green section and a blue section, because one section is all fields and one section crosses our stream a couple of times. They're single line sections, so obviously if we've only got one bit of track, we want to make sure that two trains aren't going to try and be in that same bit of track at the same time. So for that we have staffs, and every train has to have a staff to be able to be in that bit of railway. So the staffs are here, and again we've got a green staff and a blue staff, and on them are written what they're valid for. And then these also split out into different sections and tokens, so we can do two trains following each other if we need to, following our rules. And also here, obviously, we've got at Amerton, we've got the signal box, and that controls the points and the signals around the station here to control train movements within the station.
So this actually isn't too far away from a similar operation out on the national network.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
In many ways.
It follows a lot of similar principles that are less used now, but certainly have been in the past on the national network.
Yeah, I've been involved since before I can even remember. I've been on steam trains on this railway, so my dad's been involved from a very young age. When Isabel was on the plinth outside of Stafford, my dad used to clean her, so he was about 7 years old when he was doing that, and when she got a home here, which is just down the road from where I live, my dad started volunteering, bringing me and my two brothers, and I've got one older, one younger. My dad, when my older brother was about 5, took him to do guard one day, and he came home and I just remember crying because I wanted to go. So I got brought along with me next time, and I was like, yay. But I've carried on doing it. Unfortunately, my brothers, they haven't, so I'm very lucky to be able to still be able to fire on these engines and stuff like that.
I'm sure you'll remember the Whitfield family from episode 1. I caught up with them again to find out a bit more about their enjoyment of the railway. Now, I understand that you've been involved with this railway for quite some years and you live just down the road, is that right?
We do, yeah. So my eldest Josh is now 8 and we've been coming to the railway since he was just learning to walk. So we're about 7, nearly 8 years that we've been coming to the railway. We only live about 3 miles away, so it's really close, and we get to come and have picnics, ride around on the railway quite a lot. And we come on the Santa specials every year as well, so it's part of our family traditions now, Amerton is.
I generally nowadays I fire, I do a bit of diesel driving here and there, and I do marketing. I've been trying to push social media as much as I can to get us more publicity, and that's my main roles really.
Okay, and do you think that you're learning some skills that are going to be useful in life?
Oh,
Can help you?
definitely. Before I started here, I knew nothing about engineering whatsoever. And over the past 4 years, from so many different people, I've learned so much about not just railways, but engineering as a whole. You have so many people who've worked on the coal board and Dorman diesels and other places like that, who have the experience that, well, I would never get nowadays.
No, I think it's a wonderful thing. And do you see yourself moving on to doing other things here, or haven't you thought that far yet?
Yeah, I'd definitely like to become a driver here, especially. Take a lot of these experiences well into the place of work whatever I decide to do next. Railways, and especially in going engineering now, have become quite a love for me. So doing something like that into the future is definitely something I'm going to take from the railway, which has been great to have that experience to be able to do.
And do you find anything that you learn here you can use, transfer to work and vice versa?
It's more a little bit of the becoming more confident work on the engineering side of things. So the mechanical side has helped me in my work as well. Just a lot of confidence-based things that you trust your work. And the electrical side, I do a lot of modification of harnessing in machines at work. So that's come across when we installed this system. I got a chance to use this. So I helped put this in as well as a lot of the wiring in the signal box itself.
So you've told me we've got a token operation, and just again, how many trains at the most can you operate then?
So on our galas we operate 3 trains. One is generally sat at a station and the other 2 are out on the railway. We could operate more, but it starts to get quite complex, and you know, normally we're only 1 train in steam. It's classed as 1 train in steam, where we just have 1 train going round. Because it's not a frequent thing we do, we tend to not try and make it too complex. So yeah, generally 3 trains is about the best compromise of making it be busy but not be too complex.
No, I'd say that is pretty busy. Having seen the setup, I think it takes some doing. And of course, again, as I understand it, the Office of the Rail Regulator have got an interest in what you would do, haven't they?
Yeah, so we still have to comply with various guidelines and laws that a lot of railways have to comply with, yeah.
Isabel was built in 1897 by W.G. Bagnall Limited in Stafford. She was destined for the 2-foot gauge railway of Cliff Hill Quarry in Leicestershire, aptly named the Cliff Hill Mineral Railway, a quarry which at the turn of the 20th century was mining granite stone. Okay, so could you show us a little bit of what you do, or talk through some of the things?
So this is Isabel, this is our resident engine, it's our longest standing engine. She's 126 years old. As I say, she used to be on a plinth outside of Stafford station. She was saved when the Stafford works closed down. She was a Heathcliff Railway, I believe, a quarry engine. Not named after Isabel of Stafford actually, she was named after the quarryman's daughter. So I'm very lucky to be able to work on her today. But she is a bit different than, I think, all the locos here, which she's got a marine style boiler. So as you can see on the face of it, all the water is surrounding underneath. So they've actually got the ash pan on the footplate, which means it takes a bit longer to get going than a regular firebox. So normally with her, if we're firing her on the perspective, you've got to get the fire really, really hot very, very quickly. So I've been taught by Mr. Mason and various people here very well to get the fire nice and hot with a wood fire, going like that. Yep. So it's a mixture of wood and coal, and we add up the coal just to bring the heat up nice and gradually, so we're not doing damage. Go from top to front. I normally start off at that end because that's the place that gets hotter quicker, but we do the pipes last. These ones typically tend to get hotter quick. When we start off in a day as well, we make sure both ends are clear. So open this up, open that asher out.
So how long does it take normally to get up to steam, to working pressure?
Normally I try and get her lit on a normal day about 8 o'clock, so about 2 to 3 hours. But because she was warm last night, it's a lot less pressure to do, because if she's already warm, the water's already at a high temperature, expands quicker.
So you don't have to get up too early then?
No, not as much. Not in the old, before she had the air hose as well connection at the bottom. This was years and years ago. I remember they used to have to start at like 6 in the morning to get her on a cold day. It was insane. But the other ones take like nothing. Like you put a fire in them and before you know it, they're just up, which is really good. But there's a kind of enjoyment from having that.
You're very proud of this.
I really am. I love doing it. Yeah, absolutely love doing it. I love being, and as I say, it's a privilege to be able to be part of this, because I don't think many people get to fire locos and stuff like that, and then to be able to do it and have the history with them is, you know, it's a real joy for me.
The thing that is so nice here, and it happens at some places, but not all, you've got a lot of younger people like you and younger than you coming through enthusiastic to keep it going. And it's keeping the history going, it's keeping the memories going, and it's so important to do that. And do you find that some of the things that you've learned here, and clearly a lot of skills you've learned, you can use them out with here when you're doing other things in your life?
Oh, massively. I mean, I work in a warehouse with forklifts, and that ability to look at a situation when it goes wrong or something like that, you know, it's not even necessarily goes wrong or something happens, you can then adjust it accordingly. And, you know, I was using the same skills that I've applied at the railway to my job the other day, trying to hoist a stillage out of a van.
Yeah.
You know, it got stuck. How do you do that? You don't panic, you just calmly act, because that's what you have to do here.
So that's great to have the transferable skills in both directions. Could you give us a bit of a demonstration and see how it works?
So, as I say, this controls the points and the signals were within the station limits here at Amerton. And it's all interlocked to try and prevent what we call opposing moves, so you can't, again, get trains going towards each other especially. So I've got John with me here. He'll just pull some levers. He's going to set some points from our head shunt here through into our loop, and so we can signal a train through in. So, John, if you'd like to... So what John's now doing is just setting the points. So that's changing the position of the points out on track, and then this blue lever is a lock. So that locks the points in place, that makes it safer in operation. And then the last one, the red one, is a signal. And the signal's cleared now, so that would allow a train into our loop here from out on our green section.
Wonderful. And in true railway practice, you've got your duster.
Indeed.
I mentioned at the start of the episode that I first saw Isabel on a train spotting trip to Stafford in 1972 when I was 16. 51 years on, here's the very book that I wrote Isabel's number in on that day. I've added the missing information in red today. Do you do any other work here as a volunteer other than on the footplate?
I'm the event organiser. I have a team that I head that we spend the time organising different events, which includes the gala, getting the visiting engine here. So it's my team are the fault of having the Ashanti here, which is nice, beautiful engine to have. But we've got other events that we're organising. We're hoping to get an Isabel Day. So there's going to be themes around the whole railway that are all based in little scenes about Isabel and the story of Isabel. All the engines that are going to be included in it will have faces on and everything like that in the style of Pauline's books. We're going big on that. We've got a Halloween event coming up, hopefully, which is taking a bit of inspiration out of the sort of ghost walks around Edinburgh and York.
I know them well.
Yeah, we're going down the route of that.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and do some stuff with some stories around different parts of the line, and then obviously we get into Santa's then. And Santa's is always a big one for us.
This is essentially, well, it is essentially a mainline frame. Do you have your own signal locking fitter to maintain it?
So yeah, so this is a British Rail Midland standard frame. It came out of Longbridge signal box. It was a 36 lever frame, so this is just one section of it. They were built in 12 lever sections, and the locking was all designed by an ex-British Rail signalling manager, and we fitted all the locking ourselves with help from him. So yeah, and it's all been fitted and tested and made sure it's all correct and independently checked.
Wonderful. And how many people do you have passed out on signalling?
So generally for our normal operation, we don't particularly use the box. As I say, it's one engine in steam, so it's one train doing the same thing all day. So we don't particularly have a signals grade. We have controllers, and we've got 2 controllers that generally operate our events, and we've got several that are coming up through the ranks, so we can increase that. This signal box has only been in operation for a year now, just over a year. So yeah, we're going to bring more people up so we can get more people up.
And of course, that's very, very important.
Yeah,
again,
absolutely.
Big part of your plans. Looking forward to the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't it? Great things have been carried out at this railway, and one very strong strain that's come through to me is the fact you've got in place a succession plan for the future and encouraging young people and transferring skills. So I think you've really gone into that.
We are fortunate that we've got a good crowd of youngsters who are involved. And as you say, a lot of places are really struggling. We're also involved in a model engineers group, and that doesn't attract the youngsters in the same way. And you've got the same problem. If everybody's 70 plus, then there's no future really for it. Whereas here we've got a great bunch of youngsters, some of whom have done engineering apprenticeships, some have come in from other sources, and it gives a good future.
It's about passing on that generational knowledge, because some of the generations who have been doing this for years and years, that knowledge is going to be lost if we don't keep bringing them through, and the enthusiasm that they all have to pass that down to the next generations, and as they're coming through at 16 years old, and then can use it in the rest of their careers, using that experience from the older members here.
And did you get the chance to pass on any of your skills and knowledge to younger people?
Oh yes, yeah. I mean, the people that helped were watching what I was doing and taking some of those skills home to do on their DIY jobs at home.
What they've been trying to do is create different environments for different people. So if you don't like riding on the railway, you can still go through their new walk that they've got through the middle of the railway, and you can see lots of wildlife, and you can kind of interact with some of the different parts of the railway that they've got here. They've created this picnic area, must be 3 years ago now. And again, it's a way that you can just sit and enjoy the landscape of Staffordshire and enjoy some of the wildlife from the local farms, and you get to have a train go past every 30 minutes or so and watch the steam engines go by and the diesel engines. So they're moving the railway on, they're trying to get to new generations, they're trying to get to different people. So it's not just about bringing in the young people, it's bringing around different families, attracting people that may be feeling lonely. So it could be those older generations that are staying home because they're lonely, they don't know what to do. They can come along, they can tinker with an engine or two, or they can work in the ticket office, they can work in some of the more public areas. So there's something for everyone, and they're really trying to include everyone from local areas here. And
I take it from the way you've been talking, people have been ever so supportive to you and helped you in every way and encouraged you.
Oh God, I think, especially as a young woman coming in, it can be a bit intimidating coming into an environment that is majority white, middle-aged men like my dad, but the welcoming and how lovely they've all been and encouraging, and how they try and help you and teach you to be better and learn about these engines is, as I say, it's been a privilege to be part of, and it's a privilege to be part of this railway. So, the kindness that I've been shown when I don't know something, that how eager they are to teach, has really helped me over the years.
In 2021, thanks to Becky, the Amerton Railway received the Queen's Award. This award is the equivalent of an MBE for a voluntary group. It's an incredible award, and of course they received it at Buckingham Palace, but you didn't manage to get there, did you?
No, I didn't get the invite to Buckingham Palace, but what I did get is to see all the volunteers at the celebration they had here at Western Hall, local village hall here. And just being with all the volunteers in that hall was amazing. They were so appreciative, and you could just see how proud they were. They all had their little pin badges on to say that they have now got this Queen's Award. And it meant something to every single one of them, something different as well, which was really nice to see. So I got to be part of that celebration and see all their appreciation. And I think, no offence to His Majesty, but yeah, that was an amazing event to go to, and it was so special to me.
Yet again, in the few hours I've spent at Amerton, I've learnt so much from the people who volunteer here. This morning, I've learnt about the operation of the railway and found that it's not dissimilar to the national network, how the signal box works, how it's interlocked, but equally how well the people do their job. They're trained. I've met two of the younger volunteers and the enthusiasm has been overwhelming. The keenness to learn and listen and to take things forward is actually quite humbling. And they really want to learn and use equally some of the skills that they've learned at the railway, but they've also taken away things that they've learned here into their school, into their work. And I think that is an absolutely wonderful thing. And that's a message that comes across all the time here at Amerton, is that people support, they learn and they do things properly. Wonderful place. If you enjoyed this episode and want to know how the railway came about, please tune into episode 1, where you can learn about the story of Isabel and how she came to be here at Amerton Railway.